everybody. We're excited up with the tea and coffee. It is on its way. They're just boiling great big kettles, so they'll filter that in as we get going. But because we want to get onto the river, I don't want to hold up the AGM any longer. I'm leaving for about another 10 minutes. Welcome to Ipswich. Thank you so much, those of you that have travelled. I just thought we're missing Paddy. He's here. Travellers all over Great Britain and from Ireland as well. So the UK is all here today. When my husband Chris was Commodore some years ago, we tried to book Victor for our AGM, but I must introduce Wes, who is the boat owner and our host today. And we've tried to book Victor before, but usually at exactly this time of the year when we have our AGMs, the boat is in dry dock somewhere being surveyed, painted. I didn't hold out much hope this year, but we did have a conversation and he said, funnily enough, it's going in early this year in January, so we're here. So thank you so much, Wes, for opening the boat up for us today. We're supposed to be going for a sail down the river, but the sails are off for winter maintenance. But we will still have a lovely trip down to the river. We'll go past the Butt and Oyster, where those that are meeting tonight for the AGM dinner, you'll see the picturesque side of it from the water, and tonight you'll see the other side of it. Anyway, let's get going with the meeting.
Don't forget the exits.
Oh yes, sorry. If in the event of an emergency or fire breaks out down here, there's 3 exits down here. There's one here behind me, so I'm first out. There's one back up the stairs, and there's one at the back by the galleys down the back, and the heads down there. Heads are down that corridor. Please do mind your head. Mind your head when you stand up. Do you want to just say something quickly about the age of the boat and?
I'll give you a little rundown of what she is and what she's done, if you like. Victor was built just outside the lock gates here in 1895 by a chap with the name of Horace Robshaw. He sold it on to Owen Perry's, which were millers at Colchester, so she spent most of her life running out of the Colchester in the Thames, carting linseed about. She was commandeered by the Navy in the First World War and the Second World War. She was trained right up until 1963. Then she became a houseboat and little den of inequity, so there ain't nothing she ain't seen before. She's done it all. Then she got a rig put back in her by a chap by the name of Emerson down on the Medway. He sold it to Briggs, and Briggs sold it to us, and here we are today. We spent a hell of a lot of money on it and dragged it back into the 21st century, and here we are. Here's what we do.
And for those of us that do sail on the Orwell, it's a very familiar sight going up and down most weekends, and they do evening cruises and firework cruises and Pinmill barge match cruises. It's a fantastic sight. So thank you, Wes.
Thank you.
Right, apologies for absence. I have had some apologies from Robert Day, Richard Ward, Jeff White, Dominic Munch, who's one of our committee members but lives in Germany, Ken Dickens, Paul Stevens, Bob Tufnell. Again, Bob Tufnell is a fantastic member to have. He actually worked at the Macwester factory building the boats, and he's really useful to us when people ask technical questions. We felt it was really successful by Zoom. This year is another new. We've got Mike and Rob, our technical, I nearly said geeks, I won't say geeks, but they're fantastic. And this is being filmed virtually and on live for anybody who wants to join us. So welcome everybody who's joining us by live link.
Linda, those are the official minutes, if you could sign.
Thank you, I haven't
if
got
we're
a pen.
adopting them, we probably
Thank
could
you.
vote on them first. Haven't we?
Oh yes. Is everybody happy that I sign these?
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Peter. Right, so now we go on to the presentation of accounts. H is our accountant.
I do sums and papers, journals. That's my role. Mandy, when did we go to Hartlepool?
13? 12?
I thought it was about that.
Yeah.
So that's 10 years of sums. I'm getting to the stage where my summing is being summed up. Not instantly. Right. So before you, you have a page of sums. In the right-hand column, it says see notes. You haven't got the notes, which makes it a bit tricky. Makes it even trickier, neither have I.
I have.
Because I didn't print them off in Netley.
James not giving everybody
Oh, that's
the
all right.
notes,
I'll just gibber.
H was that you could talk to them.
So, if you follow these, oh, that's crap, isn't it? Right, if you follow these notes columns down, this don't take, isn't going to take you very long. Note 1, donations. Linda's been, like, some of you know that we've been regarding all the old 16 and £12 payments for some years as just donations, which is why they're in there. Linda's chasing them up, and a lot of them, they're dropping off slowly. They're either in the marina up there, or they've gone or something. So that figure's dropping down. The reason the 2020 figure is a lot higher is that Jekyll Sales gave us 120 quid, because they're nice people, and they didn't give us any last year, but they did give us some this January. So we've got a few more bob out of that. Note 2 was to show what a poor year it was with no, no AGM, no rallies, 15 quid, which is just a few of Linda's boat stickers, I think. Number 3, only put that for him, but fun actually. This is that 56p for a year's interest on £5 is what you get for a bank rate of 0.1%, and for most of us here, that represents 11 and twopence. If you want to feel old. Number 4 is priceless. It has nothing to do with Macwesters whatsoever. It seems that I bought something with a card, and my card didn't work, so Google Pay hunted round, found another card and whipped £14.49 from it. I'm a bit confused how this happened, but in recoveries you will say that £14.49 is paid back. But in case you think I've nicked it. 5, can't give you the breakdown of 5. 5 is because we've had a lot of new members, which Linda will tell you about. We ran out of Burgies, so we had to spend 470 quid odd on Burgies in that figure. There was 55 quid for the website hosting, which I haven't got a clue about, but Rob will tell us if he wants to. Because I don't understand it at all, but never mind. We bought something else. Oh, your postage is in there, which was to post out a lot of journals to new members. And there was something else in there of very little significance. Journals. It is my heart as well, very dear actually, 175 quid ago. Last year we only paid for one journal because the Christmas one was late, and we actually got invoiced and paid for that in January. So this year we're going to have to pay for 3 journals, unless we put a fast one, which I'm going to shock the committee with at some point and try and get away with one. Not sure about that. And then, can I do that now?
Do what?
Can I do the journal bit now as well?
Yep.
While I'm on
No.
I'm allowed to do that. Well, that's it then.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions about the accounts?
Oh,
The notes back. John, can we put the notes back, please?
No? Okay, thank you very much, H.
Thank you.
So now for the last time, it's my officer report as Commodore. Right, when I was elected to the post of Commodore of the Macwester Owners Association in February 2018, I was so very proud. As the first female Commodore in the association's history, I was determined I was going to make my mark. But how wrong did that go? During my first year, I organised a couple of East Coast rallies which went well. And Chris and I travelled around the country on various occasions, and we always went Macwester spotting in different harbours and ports wherever we were. I'm sad to say that some members who used to organise local rallies on the south coast, for example, have sadly passed away. But I always lived in hope that others would take up the task of organising rallies, and sadly that hasn't happened. One of our rallies in 2019 involved Macwester boats meeting in the River Orwell to watch the very famous Pinmill barge match. Well, we got very involved in this one when, sitting quietly on a buoy taking photographs, one of the barges, as big as Barge Victor, actually managed to sail right into us. And you will have read about this in the journal that year. And once again I state it could have been a lot worse. Then of course the pandemic hit and the country ground to an abrupt halt. We nearly all became housebound and boat sick. We weren't allowed to spend some of our newfound spare time messing about on boats, or indeed even doing repairs or maintenance. For the Nixon family, it was a bit worse. Our business is one of the local marinas here, and boat repairs. We were forced to close our doors, all the bookings disappearing from the diary. The River Orwell was officially closed. Chris used to visit twice a day to check the boats were okay, clean the toilet block, disinfect all the push-button locks we had to fit, and stare longingly at our Seaforth, sitting there sad and lonely. He also had to go to the marina regularly to shout at one customer who insisted no one was going to stop him sailing. Angry phone calls to us from the harbour master had to be passed on. The second lockdown was slightly easier, as customers were allowed to come down to their boats and to do essential maintenance. But it was still a far cry from the busy office we were used to. And then, in late summer and autumn last year, things started to get a little more normal. Jobs started filling the diary again, and our boating weekends were our pleasure once more. Although we were encouraged not to mix with others, which is one of the joys of boating. We held last year's Mac meet and AGM by Zoom, another first for the association. At that time I was asked to remain as Commodore for a further year, being as the year before had been sort of a non-year. Was this another first? A Commodore serving for 4 years? Sadly not. When I look back in the journals, a Mr. J. Carver served 7-year tenure from 1983 to 1990. Drat. Anyway, now my time as Commodore has sadly come to an end, but it is with pleasure that I'm going to be handing over to Peter. And I wish you all the best in the role, Peter, as the world slowly recovers. And I wish all members brilliant sailing days ahead in their magnificent Macwesters. Thank you. Right, technical officer.
Right, it's been very quiet lately. Not a few inquiries, but not that many. But one thing with the Rob is going to do, they're going to all the old articles. They're try and get them scanned and put on the website, so you can actually get them to yourself for full members. So hopefully, when that's done, that will be really good. Because I get asked all the while for people, where can we get a new window from? Where can we get this and the other? And because the boats are so old, you can't get replacements without taking the old one out, taking the window and saying, can you make me one of these, please? Or the same with the stern tube. You just get a new one of that size, because the original just, they were just bought whatever size they wanted. So that's what you have to do now. Other than that, most things are available what you need. So that's about all, really. Okay.
about if anybody wants any help.
Yeah, if anybody needs any help, they can contact me, email or phone, and if I can help, I will. If I can't, as you said, Bob Tufnell, who's in France, he actually built them, so he's got a better understanding of the little nicky parts of Macwester, where I just do general whatever. Yeah.
And he's got a mooding.
And he's going to move it.
Very sensible.
Okay, thank you. I didn't know
All Macwesters wants to
He's a
do.
mooding.
Thank you. Rob, are you all right? We'll leave yours till last, because yours is going to be the longest slot, because there's lots of work going on in the background here. So I'll do my membership report next. Right. I'm now celebrating 10 years as membership secretary, and I can report that nothing much changes over the years. If you read the last AGM notes, that's how I started my talk last year. So, let me start again. I'm now celebrating my 11th year as honorary membership secretary, and what a year it's been, with lots of changes starting to emerge. First of all, I'd like to thank Rob Orwell for all his work on our MOA website, which has made the process of joining the association much smoother. We are seeing a pattern of interested visitors to the site, first of all joining up as what do we call outside members?
We call them registered.
Registered members, which means they pay nothing and are limited to just a few pages of the website. This has led to many of those people realising the benefit of becoming a member, so deciding to pay their £20 subscription fee, or £30 if they want a burgee, and becoming a full member. They then have access to the full site and lots of information. And as Chris said, Rob's working towards having all our technical articles to be accessed through there as well. Another change has been the better communication between myself and the other officers. If members are giving up sailing, selling their boats, moving house, etc., I mostly get to know about it now, which means I can keep the database of members and boats up to date much better. I still have ongoing issues with email addresses though, when loads keep bouncing back to me as undeliverable. Please keep me up to date with any changes is all that I ask. At this point, I just want to mention data protection. I'd like to assure all members that I am the only one with the database members and all their details. It's password protected. It's on this laptop, which is password protected. So I believe that I'm fulfilling data protection laws. Your details are never ever passed out in full. The only thing I pass on are addresses when it's time to send the journal out, and these get sent straight to the printer. Many members valued the boat list. I don't know, it's been some years since we've done this list. In the spring journal, we used to send out a boat list, and it literally had the name of the owner, the boat name, and where the boat was located. And Chris and I always keep ours on the boat, and if we see a Macwester, we'll either go and we'll look it up quickly, is that a member? And we'll go and say hello and talk about Macwesters, and we found that a really useful tool. And we've had quite a lot of debate in the in committee meetings to say, should we still be publishing this? And afterwards I'm going to ask your thoughts on that, because it is giving out information. Lastly, I would like to announce that it has been the very best year of my 11 years, with 19 new members, wow, beating last year's record-breaking figure of 18 new members. Today we have a total membership of 134 members, not including spouses and partners. We're a very small association, but we're definitely steadfast. Thank you. Questions? What do members think about this going out?
I like seeing it.
Yeah,
I find it
I
very,
agree.
very useful.
It's only being sent to members anyway.
It gives the
There's no
member's
address on it,
name,
no.
there's no address, and it's
If
where
your
the
vote
vote
and you're
is.
on
Like.
there, you throw it away in the bin, and you're giving your information away. So it's members only. So
Peter agrees with that. I can see nods. So you're happy for that to be included in the spring journal that's being prepared now?
I mean, ultimately, from GDPR, basically, as I recall the regulations, so long as it is clear what the purpose of the information is and how the information is held, and that everybody who gives that information signs up to the way in which it's used, we are then covered under GDPR. So if everybody who is a part of the association signs up to their name and their boat and their boat's location being on the boat list for members only, then I believe we're satisfied. If anybody's got any better knowledge, please do correct me, but that's how I understand it.
Can I just say that I've got a list here from 2009, which I think is probably the most complete one.
Yeah,
that was
this
done.
mine was 2018 was the last one I could
Yes,
find, yeah.
I particularly brought this one because it has included the phone number of everybody. Now, I would say we ought to take out the phone numbers.
Oh, right, I haven't got
Right.
that.
Are
Yeah.
we agreed that the phone numbers should not be there? Because I think that's too personal, and I'm not sure.
I agree.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
People agree with that? Just this list, name?
no phone numbers.
I don't even remember doing that. I prepare these.
I happened to come across it because I was looking through them.
What year was that?
2009.
I think in the old days.
Oh,
you'd have the address.
2009.
Yes.
Oh, good. That
So it
was
was a long
that
while
wasn't
ago.
me. That wasn't me then.
But I think people were more relaxed about it.
Yeah.
I also
Alright.
think,
But nowadays, I
while
think
we're on the
we
subject of
should.
GDPR, perhaps we ought to include an update form with the journal to be sent back to the membership secretary, because part of the regulations is keeping the data up to date. I know the journals probably have a please tell us if anything has changed, but if you've got an actual piece of paper that you can just fill in what's different and send it back, A, it will reduce your workload because it's only what's different that's filled in, and the only thing that is different gets sent back. That might make it easier for members.
The only trouble with that is that it then the printer gets all the data as you send it.
Mm.
Ah,
And I think
oh yes.
if you just send it by email
Mm.
individually, then
Yeah.
right. But that would be a task in itself.
Yeah.
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 I think you just ask if you have any change in the details, please send it to us.
We could put a note in the journal just to
So
cover
I
it.
do. I do.
Yeah.
It's
So
what
that'll
you-
do, yeah.
what
Yeah,
you
but,
do- what
but
you
the
do-
printer won't get the details because it doesn't have your pre-printed details. It's just a form that's blank that says please complete anything that's new,
Right,
different.
a blank form, yeah.
So it's a blank form saying please complete anything that's different.
Yeah,
So you've got all the fields that you needed filling in,
yeah.
But he gets
and
all
then
the
it's
names and
only the
addresses.
different bit that gets filled in.
He gets all the names and addresses anyway.
Because he posts them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. It's just a single sheet, so you don't have to rip your journal to pieces.
Yeah.
You
Right,
just,
we'll
We'll have
discuss
to
that. Thank
discuss
you,
that, I
Anna.
think, yes.
Thank you.
Do we need to provide an opt-out option? A little thing in the journal that says, if you don't want your name on this list, let us know.
yeah.
Of course, that's a really good thing to add on the bottom.
Yeah.
well, we need people's names and addresses to send a journal out to.
Sorry.
I think it would be under the regulations, I believe it's default, not agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to positively agree.
Oh, right.
And which, in my own savings club, where I'm membership secretary, is a real problem because people might have agreed, but never bothered to go through the process unless they know.
So we could do as a one-off, because we're thinking of doing this, include that as a nice clear thing, and then you've got an opportunity to reset your
Right.
data.
Pete, when we have our first committee meeting then, with you as comment that needs to be on the agenda because we meet not long after the AGM, so, right, thank you. The other thing oh sorry.
You mentioned that laptop, I assume you've got a backup copy of that disk somewhere. Because if that failed on you, you'd be in trouble.
I've got one on a memory stick that is also laptop password protected. Yeah, should have said that, thank you. But also, I bought my usual box of goodies there. If anybody needs a new burgee for their boat, if anybody would like a Macwester tie for the dinner tonight. I've also got those stickers that we advertise. When Macwesters were first built, they had a plate on the side of the boat, and we've had those replicated in stickers. They're £5 for a pair, and to put on your boat, and it looks like you've got the original plate on the boat there. So I've got those with me as well, and car stickers. If you've changed your car and your Macwester boat owner's sticker went away with your old car, I've got new stickers in there as well, if anybody wants any of those afterwards. Right, H will have a quick update from you from the journal, and then tea and coffee. Right.
Oh, right, Mr. Journal. Journals, yeah. Where was I? As I've said before on these days, actually, what happens in the journal is your responsibility, not mine. I just put it together. You do the articles, or you don't do the articles. So all I do is just jig about with a laptop and send it to printer, and there it goes. Andy, can you remember when? This is the question I was going to ask before. I forgot.
Anna,
when we last increased the subs.
No.
I've got a vague feeling it was around the time of that Hartlepool meeting. And we've been 20 quid a month ever since.
Yes. I would have said that. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm not brave enough to suggest that we need to. I'm not convinced we need to, but it's something we ought to keep an eye on. And the journal itself, which is what I was going to say earlier, as you look across the run of the prices of these journals, apart from 2014, we had the same palaver where we paid one year and 3 the next. Well, I'm running out of money, but we could do with saving some, I think. Linda and myself are lucky enough to have lots of holiday, not together.
He hastens to add.
This means that the spring journal I need to do in the fortnight after Easter, or it won't get done until July, which ain't very near spring. I'm wondering if we can actually skip printing that.
Are we suggesting that we go? We do struggle now to get in articles, and you'll notice that the journals are getting thinner and thinner and thinner.
Well, the last one was okay. What I'm thinking is, if we could get someone, Linda, to send the spring one out, which will be smaller and basically only have the AGM stuff in it and a couple of months of any reports these good folk want to send in, I can put all those in printed one at the end of the year as well. So they will have a sort of a bumper edition at the end of the year, and we're 175 quid better off.
So you have an electronic one and then a...
Why are we printing journals out these days at that cost? Does everybody get to read it and cherish the journal? Or
But there are some, when we last had this conversation, which was some years ago, there were quite a few that actually like to read it on the boat.
Yes.
fair enough.
Yeah.
But needed to be asked periodically, I think, because it's a significant amount.
Well, I don't read it at all, so
You've already read it in
I'm not a good one to ask,
We're
really.
burning trees, aren't we, regularly?
We discussed very extensively when, in my last year as editor. And there was a very strong feeling at that time, particularly I think among older members, that they liked a proper thing that they could hold and read. That might have changed, or might be changing.
Well, I think it might be, because I do my own sailing club's newsletter. Unfortunately, the first one I did was the first lockdown in March 20. And the way they did it, that obviously a lot of locals live in Warsash.
Help yourself to tea and coffee.
A lot of locals live in Warsash, and they go down to the sailing club and they have a little coffee morning, pop in all these things in envelopes. They weren't allowed to do that or they'd all die because they'd hidden things. So at that stage, we actually went digital. Some people complained, but we don't know who they were because they didn't tell us. So just tough, really. And nobody has ever suggested we go back to anything else.
Can I say that I absolutely love a printed journal,
Me
and I
too.
wouldn't be able to print it. We wouldn't be able to print it on our printers in the same
I'm,
format.
so I'm not suggesting we do away with it,
Or
but
actually
I'm saying
put it
that
on
at least
shelf.
at the one-off, I can see that we would put some money in the till, but very little work. Look, you can send them all out on a PDF document.
Possibly as an option, when you put in the option for the GDPR, you give an option about whether you receive printed matter. It's expensive to
That's a
do
very
that.
good idea.
And the postage is going.
This is, I think
through,
that's the greater problem, is the postage, not the printing.
I'd be quite happy to
Because
receive it on the email.
I think when Mandy used to do it, we had the front and back covers were coloured and the middle pages were coloured and the rest were black and white. So I said to mate in the printers, you know, what difference does it make if we all go colour each in? It's about 40 quid.
Yeah, I
Overall.
mean, technology's changing
Yeah.
all the time.
I'm happy to do the spring
Sorry?
small, if you like.
It could still go out
Spring,
north if it went
this,
out
what H was
electronically
talking about, this small
and
spring
the
one.
paper journal.
I'm
Well,
quite
see
happy
what-
to do
People
that.
might begin to adapt because time went
I'm
on.
thinking I could put this,
No, no, no.
the stuff in this, which I wouldn't think by April would be very big, this spring journal. Could encompass anything in there in the printed version, and the postage is then the same. Andy won't be very pleased. That's our printer.
Yeah, well,
So-
something there.
Yeah.
For 6 months of the year, I have no postage. And it would be very nice to have an electronic one, which I can pick up wherever I am.
Where are you?
Spain.
I do this for a couple of people anyway. If I know I can do that,
Yeah, there was always an option to receive a PDF version electronically.
in fact, I mean, that probably saves us more money if ever abroad, wouldn't it? Because we post things to Germany and Malta and various other places.
No, mine gets delivered to the UK, and I don't read it
For a
for
month.
probably 3 months.
I can do that.
Yeah. I'd rather have an electronic one. I can just sit on the boat.
Yeah. That's easy.
What do you do to do that then?
Who are you?
Chadwick.
David. Early Chadwick. Or the other option is to go anyway to one bigger, fatter journal per year rather than two.
So, I'm not pleading poverty. But
I
it's
think
just
I like
something.
the 2 journals.
I think two is better,
Yeah.
because if you've
But-
only got one, you've got too long a time for people to forget they get a
But
benefit.
I can understand people saying, no, I'm quite happy with the email journal. And it may be that's what you ask.
Right.
So we'll
I mean,
do that as an
the
option.
point at which you're asking people, do they want their names to be, their phone names to be printed out? Do they have any change of details? At the same time, you could be asking, do
How
you
would
want
you-
this?
how would you
you
like
can
to
encompass
see
it all as
it?
one massive request.
I mean, otherwise we'd still be doing it to stone people, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
You know, we've got to modernise people.
And so perhaps 3 options should be given. There's
Right.
one,
Have you
emails
make
on
a
their
note
own.
of this, Jane? Because I'll design something and send it out to all the
Yes.
membership.
Yeah. Emails on their own,
Yep.
journal by hard copy, or journal by both.
Yes.
Right.
Oh, we're getting busy.
Yeah, well,
And whether they want to be included in this.
As a sort of technical response to that, that was the original arrangement when we first decided to do an electronic version. It became quite, what's the word? For my slightly aging brain, it became somewhat onerous to identify the people who didn't want one by post and not send them one by post. So they ended up getting one by post anyway. And I used to get a bit
These
aggrieved
days
from-
of mail,
Because I sent the printer
Yeah.
the names and addresses
Yeah, you
on
had to-
everybody.
You had to delete those out to the didn't
I do that.
How do you want to do?
You don't know that happens.
Paddy.
I think we get hung up on the postage. How much is the postage?
Can't tell you.
Yeah. But
All I get is an inclusive invoice.
yeah, if it's €3 or something like that, €3 a year, is that what a job is worth?
I mentioned this when we were in.
And
We
members,
think nothing about paying €3 for a ball of string to tie up something on the boat. So I think devoting one journal a year.
That's not the bilge.
And the postage is really significant.
and members do pay £20 a year.
Yeah.
They do.
Which is, we've got to remember, which includes, has always included the journals.
And sometimes that's the only contact they
Yeah.
get.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, we'll review that at the next committee meeting, I think.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Could we have a show of hands as to a rough idea as to who would be happy with an email journal, say, an electronic journal? Only. Can we get an idea of how many? And it's not exact, it's not a hard and fast.
The question is, yeah, who would be happy with only a digital journal? In other words, no
Basically,
paper
2, 4,
scrapped together.
5. So there's only 5 people, really. I think that answers the question, doesn't it?
Well,
And
only
we
five.
take it that everyone else would prefer a
Only
paper.
5 people here. We don't know about all the other members.
A lot of people are not here, by
Yeah.
definition. They
I mean,
need to be
personally,
asked the question.
when this
Yes.
comes through, it's our pleasure to take this and keep our copies on our boat. And that's what you do when you anchor up and you're sitting reading things.
We became members because when we first got our map, we met a member who gave us his journal. And it had the details and the information and
Aha.
everything in. So,
Tea and coffee by both. Yeah,
Would you like tea and coffees?
we'll be fine. Swings and roundabouts. I think this is another thing that your committee is going to have to discuss.
But as a representative sample,
Tell me. Sorry.
On the website, would you not be able to put a PDF download when it's been released? Anyone that
It
wants
is.
it electronically?
They are.
Yeah,
on the
that's what's going to be happening.
There was last time. It's the first time we've done it.
They are on the website, aren't they, Rob? Where's he gone?
Yes.
get a copy.
I take the email copy off the website. So
Yeah. So
Can do it this, last time we put that QR code in, didn't we?
that is the solution for people who want theirs by electronic. They just download it off the website.
Yeah, but does that still mean that it would go out in paper form? You're trying to reduce the cost. The postage and printage is quite high compared with all the other running expenses we've got. It's one of the major things. So if you give people the option to stay on that or to go to electronic, that could reduce the bill and might even reduce it sufficiently not to go around asking for more money for subscriptions. I don't know.
Which is an awful lot of work, actually, because you've got to rely on. Those of you who've been members for a long time are probably still paying by standing order on the 1st of January, which means you've got to change the banks, which means Linda goes through it all and tries to round up the people who haven't got it. The PayPal ones I can actually change. The PayPal payments, the more recent ones, I can actually change. Don't want to, I can. That's why I'm just wondering if the makers of one, you know, we can just cover that for a bit, because now most of the committee all live around sort of near Russia, wherever it is here. And I'm the only one that travels to committee meetings from Southampton. Our committee meeting expenses have gone right down on my train fare.
sorry? I don't want you to finish through.
So yeah, you're right. The printing is by far and away. The journal is the massive hit, which is fine. I mean, that's all we do twice a year. At some stage, it's going to be an issue. I won't be doing it then.
Right, I really thank you for all your thoughts and comments on that. Thank you. I've lost the agenda. Right, has everybody got a drink now?
Thank you.
Been filtering through. John, I will, thank you. Cup of tea, one sugar, thank you. Sorry. Right, where are we? So now we come to Rob and Mike, website managers.
Okay. Stand up one to this.
Oh, before Rob starts, I just want to thank everybody who sent me photographs in. The colour isn't coming out in this. Your photographs are superb. I've asked some guests to be judging those photographs while we have lunch. There will be a winning photograph of each of the 4 categories, and then I've asked them to choose an overall winner who will be receiving the Macwester trophy today. So I'm sorry they're not very good quality on there. We're hoping you're enjoying them anyway. Thanks, John. Right, Rob.
Okay, thanks very much. I think it's a good idea to leave the website stuff to the end, because in fact it includes all the points that have been raised, the points on privacy, the points on whether or not a digital online journal makes sense. Let me firstly give you a bit of history on it. The website that we inherited about 4 years ago came from some very good work from one of our colleagues, David Hackett, who sadly snuffed it. And we inherited this. He was fairly new to the game, but he used a package called WordPress to develop the website in. We took that on, we developed it further. It's proved to be pretty successful. Something like 40% of the blog-orientated websites on the internet are reckoned to be built on that platform. So we've got a good sound platform. What's happened to it so far is it's served us pretty well. It's the principal means that the club gets new members. I can't think of any other way that somebody would be able to sign up to the club except through the website. We may get the odd person being contacted actually on the water if you bump into an unknown Macwester and get the message of the club across, but mostly it's the website. So what's happened with the website is a bit like our houses and our kitchens and our boats. Every now and again it needs a bit of a refurb. So we're going to bring it a bit more up to date. We're going to change the colours, change the design, make it look a little bit more flashy. But under the surface, when you analyse it, again, like a kitchen or a galley, the bits are in the wrong place. It's a bit of a mess. So in the work that we did when we took the stuff over, we adopted a policy of, dear to every boat owner's heart, of making good as best you can. So we've taken the whole thing apart and put it back together again. And there are 1 or 2 things that have come out of this that are very interesting. The first thing is that the way we're handling data privacy may be very old-fashioned. So we've actually got 2 databases, if you like. We've got a summary database that's on the website with summary details, and we've got a second database which is kept privately as a spreadsheet file. So we need to bind these 2 together, being cognizant of GDPR regulations, which although we've left the EU, probably going to get worse rather than better. So that's the first point. We need a way of better integrating that. We've already taken advantage, and we need to extend this. We've taken advantage of mapping technology on the website. So for instance, the list that you've got of those boats that are around, that's actually online on a map. So you can see where all the boats are on the map. You can click on a boat and it pops up the details behind it. But there's no point popping up the details if all the details says is this is Macwester White and it's owned by blacked out. And the telephone number to contact this person if you're passing them and want to say hello is blacked out. So we need to have a thoughtful policy about data privacy, which will prevent the exploitation of our club, but nevertheless make sure that that information is going forward. So before we become too zealous about protecting everything, we need to think about what we need to expose and what we need to protect. So I would counsel that. And we can cover ourselves legally through GDPR. We've been avoiding doing it on the website because it does mean nominating somebody called a data controller. which would be the person who is in fact the suable person if something were to go wrong. And with a club like ours, it seems inappropriate to have a legal entity in this role. But anyway, so if we can judiciously handle the privacy issues and get the most out of the data without actually exposing people, that would be good. Second thing that comes to mind is really journal type content. When we talk about emailing a digital journal to people, we could certainly do that. On the other hand, we could also have it downloadable from the website, which is the obvious way to do it. And they're up there at the moment. You can download a PDF copy, print it out if you want. But that then raises the issue of journal articles. Would it not be better to allow people to, say, write up an article during those dark winter months? You've had a bit of excitement during the spring or the summer, sailing, or more likely in my case, you've had a couple of disasters. I'm suffering at the moment from something I call aft seacock back, which on a wide is an absolute sod to get to those seacocks, and I'm not quite as nimble as, you know, most men never age beyond 14, according to my wife. So I've got 14-year-old mentality, and I thought I could get in there. Anyway, the point is that I've discovered some tricks for how to get to these things with the judicious use of ropes and whatnot. And that would make an interesting article for the journal. So there's various times when you'd want to write something. We've got a facility at the moment which could be improved on the website, so that having written something in Word or whatever, you could copy and paste it into an area on the website, stick up a few photographs of funny things that have happened, and then we've got a journal article. But do we want to encourage people to put information up on the website that way, which will actually hit the journal content, or can we combine it in some way? So combine it sounds the obvious thing. So those facilities at the moment are kind of half-baked. So that's an area we're improving, so that people can make what in website speak is called a posts. So you can make a post more easily. Then we've got things like the technical forum, which the way we work it at the moment is that we've got some nominated people on that forum who every time an item is posted or a question is posted, they get an email saying, hey, there's something on the forum, this is the headline of what's being said, could you help? Chris is obviously one of those, Bob Tuffner is another. But I think getting one or two other people who are quite informative onto that would help. Okay, now let me come to the big problem that we've got. This is a major problem for me, actually. When I looked at how often people were posting questions on the forum, I found not very often. And then when I looked at Google, I found that the Facebook group that's associated with the Macwesters is vibrant. It's having a couple of posts every day. And these are interesting questions. People are saying, you know, does anyone know where I can get a spare window or whatever? And they're being answered, and everyone's chipping in. It's not authoritative. I mean, the guy that might be answering your question might be a complete idiot, and you'd really regret following his advice. You know, sitting there with your window in bits, and you discover that getting the thing out actually does more damage. Or in my case, you know, the tide's coming in, and I can't get this bloody seacock. Right. So I've checked the Facebook page. And there are 460 members of the group. Technically it's a Facebook group, not a page. And so 460 people, presumably they're Macwester owners. It'd be pretty perverse if you were a Moody owner or or an owner of another boat and you signed up to the Macwester Club. So I presume they're all Macwester owners.
No, they're not necessarily.
Not all, no. We've got a clipper owner over there in Mandy and Rob, yep, and so forth. And in fact, one of the administrators of this group is actually a Westerly owner, I believe.
Cat, is that Cat?
That's Cat, yeah. Then when I looked at the Facebook page more carefully, I went through all of the posts. I couldn't see a single reference on that Facebook site back to our club, which struck me as absolutely astonishing.
I post on there. I posted about the AGM and everything, hoping to attract people who were Mac owners who might want to come and see.
Sorry, I'm not meaning this I'm just saying that it's a parallel growth. And so then I checked out, where's this bloody thing come from? And it was actually launched 8 years ago, and the administrators of the group, the Facebook group, are on the committee. We launched it, and we've forgotten about it, and it's taken off. It's like a precocious child that's overtaken us. So if you want an answer to a particular question quick, you wouldn't go to, hold on Linda, let me finish. You wouldn't go to the Macwester website, you'd go to the Facebook page. So we looked at this and we thought, well, the first thing is that there are one or two of us, and we're a little bit Luddite-like when it comes to social media. I don't personally go anywhere near Facebook. The last thing I do would give those chaps like Zuckerberg my details, because I know what they do with them. The agency that I used to work for, which was a government body, used to get regular feeds from Facebook and Google and Amazon, and they used to pay a fortune for it, and they would use it for security work. So the last thing I'm going to do is give that information up. Also, I don't want adverts coming in all the time, every time I walk past the shop. So can I do a quick show of hands? How many people here are on Facebook? Whoa, well that's interesting. And I presume you all use the Macwester. Yeah.
I set it up.
And you set it up, H? Yeah.
I set it up the year we had the last meeting in this very good.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
And what happened was, H and I then discovered that there were actually 5 Macwester groups of some kind or other, and we contacted one of the people who had the other group, which is this Cat Mantra, and he agreed to amalgamate the websites.
Well, you brought his stuff.
The sites,
yeah.
the Facebook
Yeah.
sites.
And
so that's sort of the history. So we did have more control over it.
Well, I don't want it to be controversial because we are where we are. But the point is that we have to find a way of integrating things. Because if you join the Facebook group and don't go any further, then you're never going to hit the Macwester website. You're never going to be encouraged to join the club. And of those 460 people that are using Facebook, there will be a proportion of them that would actually like to go deeper into the community for one reason or another. Mm-hmm. So that got our team, and I should say that all the website work is being done at the moment by a small team, and we would welcome contributions. So if this is an area you're interested in, the thing that we're thinking hard about is how do we make our website a good recruitment tool for the club? So how do we put stuff on it which attracts people? How do we balance what you show and what you keep back for pure members? How do you integrate it with other websites? Because there are some websites around that are personal websites about people's Macwester boats. People fall so in love with their boats that they create entire websites which give an account of their history. I mean, that's great. But we need to bind all of that in. And one of the things that we've found is that you can take what's called a feed from a Facebook group, and you can feed that into your website. And you get one or two hidden benefits. One of the benefits is the search engines pick this up. So every time someone posts something on Facebook, not only would we be able to see that as a page on our website, but we would also get the benefit of it going into Google. So it becomes something that when people say, Seacocks, Macwester White want to commit suicide, they would be routed straight to our Macwester Suicide Samaritans team on the website. So that's one of the areas that we're putting in to develop. But the other thing that we need to do really is to look when we're working with the web design at the moment. How do we really break it down and create this attractive balance? Because the world has definitely changed. COVID and the degree of digitization that people are now used to, even us stalwart old Macwester owners are being dragged, howling and screaming into the modern age. Witness the fact that Mike is streaming all of this stuff. So for example, of the stream that we're feeding to people that have the URL to contact the stream feed, that's only Macwester owners. But Mike will use his video experience and genius to squeeze that down, together with a few videos of the trip we're doing on the barge later, and we'll make a little 5 to 10 minute video about the AGM, and that will be pushed out through Facebook, so people will see, hey, there's actually a community of people where you can talk, and there'll be a little bit of background music. It'll be a bit of a trailer type of thing. So we're starting to use this material and think more creatively about how can we attract more people into the club. And if you were to get a proportion of that 450 that are on Facebook, how many people do you need before we could halve that membership subscription? So take it down from 20 a year down to 10 a year. The production of the journals, H didn't give us a breakdown of the cost, because he gets the cost of the journal as a bulk package. But we all know that, in fact, if you print 1,000 of something and you print 100 of something, the bill is not linearly proportionate. We all know it's a lot cheaper. Okay, postage is linearly proportionate, but we could probably have a fairly simple business model of an optimum membership that we could get that would actually run us at this point. The other thing that we want to put into the website, and then I'll shut up, I'm sorry I'm going on a bit, is we want to put a shop into it. We want to extend the use of PayPal, so that in fact when you want to buy any of this stuff, it's not a question of emailing Linda. You would buy something off the shop, you would pay for it through PayPal. Linda, as membership secretary or whoever is managing the bits of the shop, would be able to respond to you. They would get a note saying so-and-so's payment has been made. So that's where we're going. Right, well that's
the technical articles.
Oh, the technical articles, yeah. There's a wealth of technical information buried away within the club, but most of it is in physical format, Chris, isn't it? Now when Chris gets a request for something, he scans it. Sometimes Linda actually retypes it if the article is illegible.
I've got every journal from number 1.
Except for the one I picked.
Except for the number 1, which I choose for our 50th special journal.
You will get it back one day.
So it stands to reason that stuff needs to be behind a shop, so you can go through, select the information you want, perhaps have a quick preview of it, and then press a button and out it comes. And once we've got it digitized, again, it would be purely a marketing decision. Do you want to have it as a paid for extra, or do you want to have it as free? But having some kind of shop capability, free to members, but why not provide it on a paid for basis if you're not? Then that would again attract people in. So I think the website is quite important from this point of view, and linking it in the way that we talked about is what we intend to do. Timeline. We've done quite a lot of the work already. We're going to change the hosting provider. It's on a platform which doesn't suit us very well. The website is getting bigger and we need a bit more power. So that's all going to happen over the next couple of months. For anyone who would be interested in joining this team or taking a look at the work so far, and we're wide open to criticism and wide open to ideas. So it's going to look different to the way it is now, and that will upset some people because they like it to be the same. But obviously the trick in designing it is to try and make it so that even though it's different, it's easier and better to use. Whether or not we can get away with that, according to my wife, who actually hates any sort of change on the website, she's just figured out how to do something.
Two of us there.
And then it changes. So the trick will be making sure that we get that right. And so having some people that we could trial it on, we have a trial site. And also we're paying a lot more attention, I should say, to the clickability of the site. So we understand better now how we can analyze where people go with their mouse. So we can see, for instance, the stages whereby people get to the point, they come to fill in the membership application form, they've gone through certain stages, they get halfway through the form and they say, oh, sod it. We can pick that up.
Exactly what that is.
And that tells us there's something wrong in the way we're designing this. So that's the plan. Thank you very much. Sorry to go on for so long. Any questions, etc.?
Right, thank you very much, Rob. There's a lot of work going on. There's a few people who volunteered to work on this, and I'd like to thank them and Rob and Mike very much indeed. If Val was there, I was just going to give her some thanks, who's doing all the food today. At this point, I am going to step down as Commodore and hand over to Peter Stebbings, who will be the new Commodore, and then there'll be the further election of officers. So, Peter, congratulations.
Well, for those of you who haven't met me before, I'm Peter Stebbings. We own two Macwesters by mistake. One we acquired from my father, who had it in 1972, and it's been in the family ever since. It's presently stuck in Gravelines, halfway between Calais and Dunkirk, and we managed to get to it last autumn and give her the first thorough varnish of the top sides for about 5 or 6 years. The other one we acquired just before lockdown and was delivered during lockdown, came from Bangor in North Wales, and the best description of the survey was it was technically correct, but he didn't look deep enough. And so 2 years on, we are still struggling to get her in the water this summer, but with a bit of luck we should see grandchildren afloat this year. The first thing I would like to do is to thank Linda for her commodoreship, because she has kept the club together. She's kept the club together in the most difficult circumstances and cheered up the committee when we were getting suicidal a couple of years back, when membership was going down. Everything seemed to be closing in about 10 years' time. Hopefully, with the work that Rob's done and Mike on the website, and the proof is in the increasing numbers of new members joining, that won't happen. But it was a very dark place some time back, and thanks to Linda, we've managed to get communication with the members we've got, and certainly the new members seem to appreciate that they're joining an organisation which welcomes them with open arms. So, having talked too much, I then go on to the business of election of officers. We have got nomination forms proposed and seconded. Addresses and boat names haven't been filled in, so that will be done before the end of the day. But I'd like to introduce particularly the new members to the people who are being proposed for election, and if there are anybody who wishes to join the committee, we would welcome you, because the more work we can spread round, the less work we have to do, the more time we've got saving. And the rules are such that I can take nominations now if anybody wishes to join the committee. But I'll go through the officers as proposed first. Vice Commodore is Rob, who you've seen and been a stalwart on the website. Rear Commodore is Mike, the gentleman here who keeps very quiet. He's hiding behind the computer. Then we've got H, who we wish to continue to twist his right arm to continue as treasurer.
Right arms for beer.
And that's why it's being twisted, H.
And journal editor. And he does a lot of work which he doesn't make a great song and dance about. Membership secretary. Fortunately, we've managed to persuade Linda to stay on as membership secretary, because she does a very good job on that. Honorary secretary for keeping minutes and things like that is my wife Jane, over here is being proposed. And then for the other committee members, we've got Chris, technical officer, ex-past Commodore, John Block over there, Jeff White, who has a boat in Malta, and Dominic Munk, who is in Germany. Both those gentlemen joined the committee by Zoom, and one of the benefits of COVID has forced us to do committee meetings by Zoom. So, as H says, it's no longer necessary to spend a fortune getting all the committee together. We seem to have done that quite successfully. We've had one or two hiccups to begin with. Difference between GMT and Central European time sometimes comes to the fore, but we've got over that problem now. So if there's anybody else who wishes to join the committee, their volunteering would be very welcome. So if I could ask you formally to appoint those that have been named, who have been nominated and seconded. Can I have a proposer, please? Right, thank you, Peter. And seconder? Anna. Right. So those in favour, please raise a hand. Thank you. That's carried unanimously. Thank you. So the next thing is presentation.
All right, presentation of awards. Well, Peter, would you like to go to where the trophies are, and I'll read out who has won the trophies this year.
Stay here and take photos for a different because you'll probably need to swivel it.
I don't know which is. No, I need to read this out. So,
I've got good reading.
I'll do it at the end. If you just, and can you take some photographs of the presentation?
Well, I think Mike's going to turn.
Well, I'll be videoing it as well, but you can still take
So the Macwester Cup, which is for the best short article. That's that one, that's it. Is going to be awarded to Ben Dallimore this year for his article in the spring. Oh, what I should say is that early in January each year, the committee meets. We've got our copies of both of the journals from 2021, and we read through all the articles again, and then we vote who we think are the deserving winners, which is how we come up with the winners. So, Ben Dallimore, for his article, A Short Sail South of the Isle of Skye. Ben can't be with us today, but he was thrilled to know that he was the winner of this cup. I don't know if you know, it was a short piece. It was a very entertaining tale of a week's holiday aboard his Macwester White. The week did not go as planned at all and was aborted on day 4. It was written in a really humorous style, and we like the short, sharp writing and feel certain that many other Mac owners have had such miserable getaways too. So the cup will be posted up to Ben. The Cole Baggy-Wrinkle Trophy, that's the painting, has been won by, this is for the best lengthy cruise article. And there were 3 long ones that we've debated quite a long time about. This is going to be awarded to Rita and Brian Davis for their article in the spring edition, Bringing Felix Home. The committee members liked this because of the gentle humour and what an easy read it was. One committee member said, you can picture the whole journey in your mind as you read it. It was a long article, but very entertaining and kept you right interested to the end. Right, the Log Spinner Trophy. This is going to be awarded to Keith Carlton for his article in the Autumn Journal, Inaccessible Hanging Locker to Useful Cupboards, which was a really, we thought, really good article on how to make the best use of space. It was well written, interesting, good accompanying photographs, and we felt it would interest lots of Mac owners. It's always a good idea to improve space usage, and this article made it appear very achievable. Thank you. The photographic plate, I can't tell you till after lunch, but there's a beautiful silver plate there. And then the Arrowsmith Trophy. Now hang on, somebody has forgotten to bring the arrow. Oh, I know. Peter. Peter won it last year, and he's going to post it to the winner. And the winner is Paul Stevens for his article Saving Verulam. Is Paul here? No, I thought it was Paul. The committee members were almost unanimous in this decision. It's a very informative article with wide-ranging features. It shows the great love that an owner feels for his boat, and also the very hard work involved in rescuing an old yacht. It was easy to read, technically useful for other members, lots of photos, and was a great advert for why you should join the Macwester Owners Association. So thank you to all the people who submit articles for the journal. Without them, we wouldn't have our debate. Right, and then there's the CJ Roy Trophy, which where's Rob? Rob has the CJ Roy Trophy. He's forgotten to bring it, but he's going to pass it on. And I'll shut up now.
Well, you've never done before.
Linda, who won the
CJ Roy Trophy is going to be awarded to Linda this year for the effort that she's put in keeping the association together through the pandemic. And all the winners get a keepsake, and in this case,
now this is if you're a Commodore. When you step down as Commodore, you get a little old plaque to remind you that you've been Commodore. So I'll take that with me. Thank you, Peter. And I'll wait for the cut from Rob. Yes. Thank you, everybody. And the winners from last year, we've got keepsakes for you. And now some of you. I can't read that.
That's one of we can put them side by side. Mine's on the boat.
We only got them because
right, Rob. Rob, this is a little keepsake for you for winning the Macwester. Janet, keepsake for you for winning the trophy last One's going off to Roland in
I'll get to the press up here.
one for and one for Jeff White, which will go on. And Greg. So thank you all very, very much.
We have had some correspondence messages.
Right.
Have we finished?
We've had some correspondence
online from our viewers.
Correspondence online.
From Germany. Yes. So the first one was good speech, Rob. Congratulations to Peter, our new Commodore. Congratulations to Linda for the CJ Roy Trophy.
Oh, thank you.
And best wishes to all the other winners.
Great.
Is that from Dominic?
That was from Dominic.
Thank you, Dominic.
So I think, ladies and gentlemen, that
we need to talk about next AGM.
Next AGM is this time in February is the best time, as far as we're aware, for having the AGM. It's the last weekend in what is normally most of the UK's half term. And if everybody's happy with that, we'll continue. And the actual venue hasn't been decided yet. The committee tries to make sure that we go round the country as far as we can without going too far north or too far south, so that most members can get to the AGM and we can make it an annual meet at the same time.
Gentleman from Liverpool.
Yes,
I can't remember the date.
I was having a conversation with David last night, who we came to the meal last night, and he keeps his boat just north of Liverpool, and there's some nice sailing clubs around there. And David, do you want to say more? Would you be prepared to host us? We've never ever been to that area.
Obviously, a nice little clubhouse in the sand dunes, which is very pleasant. But yes, I'll look into a few other bits and pieces and come back to you. And,
Super.
Yes.
That would be completely different for us. Never been.
No immediate conversation from
We'd have to sort that ourselves. So thank you for that. Any other suggestions for
perhaps future
venues?
There's a lot of boats in Scotland that I've seen.
I did qualify it with too far north.
Sorry.
Too far.
We do
Edinburgh's
just
quite
have
nice.
They think Pier's too far south.
Yes, I know.
Could we have the meeting on Britannia?
No, that was
I don't think our funds would. Can I just say at this point that
or maybe cities
well,
speak
it's not
about
here.
others. Yeah.
Wes is a friend of ours, roundabout. The lady who's doing all the catering is a friend of ours. Who've done us. Oh, here's Val. Val, step forward. This young lady here is going to give us a fantastic lunch, I know. And I'm just saying that because they're friends, they've done us a fantastic deal for today, which is why, you know, we charge as little as we have for the day. And I'm just really grateful to you, Val. Thank you.
Can I just say that the end of half term, as far as we can see at the moment, is the 18th of February. Slightly earlier than one would expect.
18th of February next year, which will be confirmed.
Right.
So next year's AGM date is likely to be the 18th of February 2023.
Right, so we're going to explore the Liverpool area, thanks to David. We've also got the option of going to the south coast again, because there's a lot of Macwester owners down on the south coast. We've been there a few times. We haven't been to Wales for a long, long time.
No, you're welcome.
As you say about Scotland, there's a lovely picture of one of our, I think the newest member we've got. They renovated a Macwester, and they sent a picture. It doesn't actually involve the boat, but it shows them going under the bridge on their maiden voyage on their Macwester. I mean, we can always approach them.
Well, I met him. Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So, got a few options. Sorry, Peter.
Right.
Right. Sorry. One of the downsides of also organising the thing today is that I've been promising my son and his partner and the two grandchildren a ride on Victor Barge, so they're going to join us this afternoon. If you wonder who the two little children are, because there was capacity to invite them and they've always wanted to go for sale, so apologies for me inviting the family.
So that ends the formal AGM, and enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you.
Do you want me to put some up this and these? Whoops! There, yes. We'll swing that round a bit. Yep. Go there.
They'll be back and the storm had finished.